Hello and welcome to the live stream, everyone. Oh, do we have anyone here? I see on my screen 7. Alright, thank you everyone for joining tonight. It's nice to see you live. I mean, not to see you, but see you in chat, maybe. So, how's it going, everyone? I was thinking like, let's go live and maybe answer some questions about Edge, PS5 games, and maybe play some games and see how the PS5 keeps up. So yeah, I also started Spider-Man in performance 120Hz mode, and we have something real-time FPS shower on the screen. You can see at the top of the screen. So any frame rate we get in the game, you can see it in real time. Like for example, now we have 83, 84 frames per second. So it's kind of like that. Pasala, oh sorry, I don't speak, I think it's Spanish or Portuguese, I'm not sure, but I can only speak English, read English in chat actually. So, how's it going? Nobody's talking, so let's just maybe play Spider-Man a little and see how is the FPS in 120Hz mode. By the way, I'm using DualSense Edge, so if you have any questions about Edge, can you see it? Yes. Yeah, if you have any questions about Edge, let me know. And by the way, oh wait, there's an update to Modern Warfare 3 settings I was using. If anyone is wondering, now I'm using different left stick curve and I kept the right stick on default. Anyways, we are not in Modern Warfare right now. So let me see, when we are looking at the sky, the FPS is around 80 something. 80, okay, that's cool. So it depends on where you are looking at. Let me see what we have. I almost forgot the buttons. Alright. Hey, I'm a main AR on Modern Warfare 3. Sometimes use sub. What do you mean? How should I set my edge up? Oh, you got it today. If you are using AR most of the time, I would highly recommend you using trigger dead zone from 0 to 1 for both L2 and R2, and you can also use this limiter to make the zone smaller. This helps with aiming faster and also shooting fast. Oh yeah, the same for any weapon that is not that doesn't need rapid pushing. The fastest way would be using 0 to 1 from the test I made actually. So yeah, that's gonna, oh thank you for subscribing. That's gonna be one of the good choices. So stick movement, you know, I'm personally using quick plus 5 most of the time, because look, when you start it's a little faster, but in most of the games, let's say for example Spider-Man, I can still walk slowly. You see, when I push it I can walk slowly, and when I go further I can go faster. But if you don't care, it's the same in Call of Duty and other games. But if you don't care about moving slowly at all, you can use digital plus 5. And in this case, as soon as you push it, you are in max speed. Of course, it's not going to be so fast in Spider-Man. Because yeah, it's not like that. So yeah, for left stick, I usually prefer something quicker than typical, especially in multiplayer games, because I want to move faster when I'm playing. So that's why I use that. do we have here?
You guys big truck fans? Me too! Oh, it's on!
Oh, this car is too slow.
Great coming here, Spider-Man! We got this! Where'd those symbiotes come from?
Oops. Alright. I didn't want to lose in life on NPCs. Sometimes it's kinda like
I can take you to it. You're a lifesaver.
sometimes it's like it's harder when I wanna play in live streams. It's like it's harder for me to focus on the game. Alright, I'm gonna answer your questions soon. Let me take this guy to the hospital.
I am ready for this day to be
There.
over.
You're all set. And I hope the worst is over now. Thanks a ton.
Oh, thank you for subscribing.
Don't appreciate you enough.
Alright, let's
That's
go
all.
somewhere chill.
I'm so tired.
Just, yeah, I'm really tired. Alright, let me read your questions and we're gonna play later. Let me see what do we have here. I have to make the screen larger. I love your content. Greeting from Colombia. Oh, thank you so much. Nice to meet you. Hey bro, what's your view on the new electromagnetic tech Pulse 3D Elite? Oh, you know, as long as we didn't test it, I can't say for sure. Because I have to test it. There are a lot of promises on this kind of tech, but how they are being used, it's different. So it's kind of, we have to wait until we can test it. And then we can say if it's actually going to make a difference compared to typical Pulse 3D. And I'm gonna get that and make a review of it. That's gonna be cool. I watched a few videos but saw you were live. Oh yeah, we just went live like 10 minutes ago if I'm not wrong. I just finished the Dr. Connor's Lizard boss fight on ultimate difficulty. Wow. That's nice. Actually, this game was not that hard for me to play on the hardest difficulty. Because I'm not sure, maybe it's hard for some other people, but for me it was mid. So even if you go in ultimate, it's gonna be just a little challenging, which is good. But yeah, it's good. They did make it somehow working for all people. So if it's hard for someone, they can play on typical difficulty. Yeah, something like that. Dynamic plus 2 dynamic plus 2 for Call of Duty on my right stick? No. I actually changed my Call of Duty settings. Let me see which connection am I using right now. Router. Because for Call of Duty I would need something better. Dedicated VPS. Yeah, I'm gonna show you my new settings on the video as well, why I'm using them. But it could be even better if I go to Call of Duty right now. No signal. Great. It's coming up. No, I'm dynamic minus 2. I was trying that. At first, it felt good for close to mid-range, but then it was worse. So I'm gonna actually show you the new settings. First of all, I'm using the default stick curve, sensitivity curve for right stick because I'm using dynamic in Call of Duty. So let me show you why did I make this choice. This is in my second account. That's fine. I think I have the same settings here. First of all, let me mute the music because that's gonna cause some copyright issues. All right. Now we are back. All right. Thank you so much for watching, Mamba. Can you make your DualSense Edge rapid fire? There's only one way to make an actual rapid fire, which you can actually call it rapid fire, you know, like holding a button, for example, and then constantly shooting instead of pushing it. And that's using scripts with DS4 on Windows. So you're gonna use PS Remote Play. Timed out, what happened? Yeah, so you're gonna use Remote Play on PC, and then you're gonna connect your controller to the PC, and through the PC you can make some scripts that when I'm holding this button acts like I'm pushing it. And this is going to be a real rapid fire, but the thing is Remote Play has some delay. So it's kind of like, as I remember the last time I made the latency test, even on local network, it was kind of around at least 8 to 10 milliseconds delay, and then in multiplayer games it was even worse. So they kind of made it impossible too. That's a good thing. You're gonna have much more delay, so you're not going to be able to do that. And for the controller, first of all, sensitivity settings are personal. I always say that I'm using very high sensitivity because I can't just control it, and I'm recently using these doom caps. These doom caps, you see, and with them it's easier for me to move the stick. So higher sensitivity is also easier to control for me. It's not as hard as the normal caps. So I'm using 11. But for aiming, I usually prefer lower sensitivity, like something like 0.55 to 65. Depending on the map, actually, I usually change when I'm playing in a map that I'm going to play long range. I'm going to make them on a lower sensitivity. And if I'm going to play close range, of course, I'm going to use higher sensitivity. And I'm still using dynamic because at first I wanted to go to the enemies fast, and then that's where aim assist comes in, and I want it to be slower for the end part so I can keep my aim on the enemy with the help of aim assist. And I tried Black Ops as well. It's kind of, I can't confirm yet that it's better than default, but yeah, they both work well. So yeah, it's kind of like that. You don't recommend quick +1 or +2 with dynamic in the game for the right stick anymore? If you mean with dynamic, no. I mean, it works if you are typically playing with things like shotguns and close range weapons. It's very good. You can rotate very fast. But when I'm playing in a long range and I'm using something like quick +1 or 2, you see, I'm moving my stick like to half, and it suddenly gets to 70 to 80% of the stick movement, and that makes it hard to control. Oh, what happened? All right, yeah, that's the reason. I'm not saying it's not good or something. For now, I just prefer to keep right stick at default if I'm gonna use, what is the name, dynamic. Hello, Simon. Hi. I don't use shotguns. Yeah, that's why some people also mentioned those settings weren't good because they were not actually good for long range, especially. You couldn't control it and keep your aim on the enemy. And then when I played more, I was like, yeah, that's not working. It's good for close range, but for long range, I need something more linear. You know, for years, let me tell you this way. For years, at least for me, for over 20 years, I was playing with something like linear. Always like this. So I expected this to act. I mean, like, I know if I push my finger this much, I'm gonna gain this speed. And that was one of the issues that happened with Overwatch 2. They had the dual zone system, and everyone was confused. What is going on? I'm moving my stick too much, it's not moving much, and then it suddenly gets 10 times faster because there was a change like from speed 1 to 100. And your fingers or your memory is not used to such change. So it kind of becomes harder. I also have some friends that they prefer to use default, just like what I'm doing right now for right stick, just default and linear in the game, and they say we just use back buttons, that's enough for us. And that's right. You might be a better player with default curve. You don't have to force yourself to try to find something, but if I'm playing Overwatch, for example, because there are a lot of things that happens in Overwatch depending on the character you play, that's where I use a lot of different curves. Why gradual and not instant? Hello, Brian. Nice to see you. Why gradual? So let me tell you this way. So imagine when I hold L2, this is my aim speed, right? And then this is my typical camera speed. Of course, it's the same here. Why am I in Spider-Man? Anyways, we should be in Call of Duty when we are talking about Call of Duty. Yeah. So let me tell you, when you choose gradual, I did actually test the timing, and it was in 120 FPS, it was around 0.1 to 0.2 seconds, like 100 to 150 milliseconds when you are aiming. That's the difference between gradual and instant. It's not so high. And what happens, for example, my camera movement is too fast and my aim is very slow. Let me show you. In action, it will be the best, because right now, nobody's gonna understand what I'm talking about. Let's go to a private match. If you are playing with low sensitivity settings, let's say, for example, you are playing with anything lower than 7, 6, 5, 4, something like that. There is not a huge difference between your camera and your ADS sensitivity. Then I would use instant, because there is not much of a difference and I wanted to switch very fast. But when I'm using a sensitivity like 11 and there is a huge difference, let me show you in action how it goes. I don't like these maps too much. They are not great. What am I connected to? Oh, this one is not good for playing, by the way. A very high ping. 145, I knew it. This is a VPN, just for testing purposes. Right, while it's going in, what would be the sense curve for right stick most similar to regular DualSense controller? What I found personally, I'm not sure if other people also experience the same thing, because some people said they feel the same, some said they don't. But what I feel is actually the default curve is a bit faster than the normal DualSense. I don't know why I feel like that, but I just feel it's faster. I mean, like, it's faster, and I feel if you use something like precise -5, this will be more similar to a typical DualSense, or -4. It's like more relaxed on DualSense. On Edge, it's like a bit faster. I don't know if it's because of hardware or they made the default curve somehow response faster and there's a change in the sticks modules. I'm not sure about that. It's just a feeling. It might be wrong because, yeah. Because physically, they feel the same. But when you play in the game, you feel like it's a bit faster, even on default. So if you want something similar to typical DualSense, I would say try Precise. Precise -5, 4, 3, 2, and see which one feels better. Alright, so let me show you what I'm talking about. In terms of the controller settings. So let's say we have a very high sensitivity settings. Let's say I'm gonna be insane and play on 20. And then my ADS on something like 0.30. This is insane. No one should do that. Okay. So I have a very fast movement when I'm not aiming. And when I'm aiming, it's gonna slow down so much. The max movement is not as fast anymore, you see? Because it's 0.30%, like 30% overall. Now, what is the difference between using gradual and instant? If you are going to do something like this, something like what I do, I use 11 by the way, not 20. That's crazy. And then you're gonna have your ADS much lower than your aiming sensitivity, 0.60. That's what I usually use. When you're gonna aim, let me show you. Let's say if you are rotating the camera, you see someone and you are aiming. The gradual takes something between like 50 to 100 milliseconds to change the speed to your ADS when you aim. But instant, let me switch it now. I hope you can understand what I mean, but I will show you in the next video how it exactly happens. Instant, as soon as I push L2, it slows down, even though I'm not fully zoomed yet, you know. As soon as I push it, look, if I push it constantly, you can see it instantly slows down. It is good. I mean, some people are used to it, but for some reason I just feel better with gradual. So if I'm following someone and I'm aiming somewhere, it slowly slows down. I mean, it's like, it's not how can I explain it? I just feel better with this. Where am I going to use instant? Let me tell you about that too. If I'm gonna be using instant, that's where I will be using like sensitivity at 6 or 5 and then ADS on 0.80 for example. There is not much of a difference between your camera and your aim, and I want it to slow down instantly because I want to have the aim assist work properly. Gradual, the enemy might get away, you know. So when you have it on gradual and you have a faster speed, you can track him. Of course, it is just my experience. It might be all wrong. I'm not sure. I'm never sure about anything. This is just what I'm using. Yeah. Anyways. What do we have here? Let me see if anyone actually asked questions in questions. Hi, what is the best DualSense Edge settings for Cyberpunk? I didn't play Cyberpunk on PS5 with DualSense Edge, I mean. On day one, there were huge problems, and then when it got fixed, I played it on PC. So, and by the way, Cyberpunk is a story-driven game. I mean, you're not gonna have a crazy multiplayer game that you need to do a lot of things. I would just use typical, like only using back buttons. My typical profile, which I use for story games, is just using back buttons. Yes, nothing else. Anyways. What would be the sense curve for right stick most oh, I answered that. I just noticed that you get a weaker vibration in Call of Duty when your mic is not muted. If you are talking about edge, that's an edge issue and it's not about the microphone. I experienced the same thing in Overwatch 2. Overwatch 2 has a lot of vibration and stuff like that. And what was happening, after a while I was playing and there was a lot of vibration, the controller vibration was much weaker and I was like, what happened? It wouldn't get fixed unless I would disconnect the controller and connect it again. I don't know why. Maybe there is some kind of protection or something. When it's being used too much, it's going to weaken the vibration. And it was the same on both cable and Bluetooth. But I didn't notice it in, I mean, I have vibration off in Call of Duty, so of course I didn't notice anything. Let me see. I have both trigger effect and vibration off. But I'm gonna try what you mentioned. I'm gonna turn off the microphone and turn it on and see. You are right. How didn't I notice something like this? It is like, wait. So I have the microphone off. I can't show you, but I have a device that can measure the vibration intensity when you put it on the surface. I'm gonna make a video about this. And if I... Yes, you are correct. I don't know. This is very weird. I'm gonna make a marker here to remember it. Because this is weird. The vibration is weaker when you have the microphone on. Wait, actually... mute. When you mute the microphone, the vibration is weaker, and when you unmute it, it's stronger. On my controller, it's like that. That was something weird. I should investigate in that. See what's the reason. Maybe it doesn't happen if you use it with cable. Something very weird. Anyways, I don't use vibration. In this game, at least. What? For example, I play Hillary or Baptiste on Overwatch 2, but the right stick by default feels more natural. Which setting do you use in Overwatch 2 for hits? And like those mentioned. Alright, I played Overwatch 2 a lot on PS5 with DualSense Edge. I'm not a great player, let me tell you that. I'm sometimes very good, sometimes average. I'm not very bad. But I have different settings for every character in Overwatch 2. And the characters I played the most. I'm gonna show you here fast. Which characters did you ask? Hillary and Baptiste, I didn't play them much. And I'm not using different curve settings. But for example, let me tell you, for Hanzo, which I play crazy with Hanzo sometimes, it's like I hit every single headshot. I use dynamic -3 for Hanzo. It makes the first part slower and then it's like linear following the exact target and then it's faster for left stick. And this movement helps me with aiming as well, because you know Hanzo is like so sensitive to movements. If you walk too fast and you change position a lot, you're not gonna guess the hits correctly. But wait, most of the time, wait, if you play Soldier 76 also, this is one of the weirdest settings I've ever used. Digital +2 for right stick, but with dual zone. And this way you can have a faster first zone, and then the next zone is going to be like 20% faster, if you get what I mean. And this is much better than the dual zone system they did implant. These are some kind of weird settings that depends on how you play and what you want to achieve. Alright, let's see what are the other questions. Wait a second, I want to see my typical ping in this game. What are the other questions? Let me check. Can you save settings to the controller on DSX now? Saving the DSX settings on the controller and use it on PS5? No, you can't. If you could do that, it would be like cheating, because there are a lot of things you can do in DSX. And yeah, you can't do that. But you can save the controller settings on PS5 and it will be applied to DSX. Actually, there was something I did read from their Discord recently. They were able to read the memory of the Edge on PC. But not only that, maybe they are making some changes. If such thing becomes available, you can choose any color you like, for example, for your light bar and stuff like that, and it will be working on PS5 too, if the thing you are saying becomes possible. So yeah. How didn't I get kicked out even though I changed my connection? That was the weirdest thing ever. Alright, let's see some more questions. I really like your videos. They helped me so much. Thank you so much, Mona. I'm happy they helped you. I hope I make better videos. Let's see if we have any other question. Yes, I noticed the vibration got weaker when I was playing Cold War on Edge. I even thought that the Edge vibration is worse than the... Yeah, I just noticed the same thing. And it was really weird for me, because I didn't expect... Oh, my ping is high tonight, 66. If there is one thing I'm gonna recommend for people who play Call of Duty, don't play the game if your ping is above 50 milliseconds. You're gonna... Of course it depends, but yeah, if you have 0 packet loss, it might be fine, but I usually just make changes to my connection if it is anything higher than 50, because higher than 50 milliseconds in Call of Duty, it's like day and night. You can literally die much easier when you have a high ping. Right now I have a higher ping because I'm streaming at the same time, and it affects my connection actually somehow. You see, there are spikes, huge spikes. Alright, let's see what we have here. For FIFA, which setting for dribbling and ball control works the best? To be honest, Brian, I didn't play FIFA much after I made that video, so I can't recommend anything right now. I was using I was playing for 2 days and testing with friends. I was using, let me show you if I have it here. If I don't have it, I remember I was using Quick for the left stick, Quick plus 2 or 3 if I remember. That was better because there is a change in FIFA when you pass the 50% of the left stick. It becomes like the response time becomes half. Instead of taking like 20 milliseconds to decide to change your position, it would take 3 milliseconds when I was testing that. I'm not including those info in the videos because it will get too crazy and people will be misinformed. They don't understand what's going on. But when I was using Quick Plus 2, it was helping that delay to become much lower, something like 0.5 to 3 milliseconds most of the time when I was trying to change the position. So it was like much better for controlling my character, something like that. I think it doesn't make any sense what I'm talking about here because I have to make videos about them and show you how things exactly work. Is trigger setting 0 to 1 best setting for automatic guns? In my opinion, yes. I mean, I did test it I've got a friend request. Yes. Let me see what you play. FIFA, definitely. Great connection. When I'm streaming, it's just better to switch to my other connection. Yeah, from the tests I made, actually 0 to 1 is the fastest for getting instant response. Some people ask if R1 is faster, for example. That's also very fast. Like, test it. How long does it take when you want to press R1 typically, when you are moving, for example? And how long does it take when you want to change the zone from R2? R2 from 0 to 1 is much faster for me, but for some people, maybe R1 is faster. I'm not sure. Yes, no worries. Oh, how fast it goes in. Typically, Call of Duty is one of the worst games when you want to log in. It takes a lot of time, but now it's like in less than a second. How is that even possible? It is very fast. I don't know, it's just... Oh, I also noticed something very strange in Call of Duty when you play on HDR. It lowers your frame rate. I'm gonna talk about it in the next video, which is Call of Duty settings for PS5. When you use HDR and when you are looking at the sky or somewhere which has higher luminance, peak brightness, it's going to affect your FPS. And the main menu, by the way, goes up to 10,000 nits regardless of what setting you have on your console, and that's one of the reasons it also affects the menu. But there are also echo settings. Thank you so much for subscribing. I'm gonna also check echo settings and make it off to see if the FPS is going to hit 120. Yes. By the way, this echo setting I told you, it only affects on the menus. So if you go efficiency, if I'm pronouncing it in the correct way, it's going to use less power and keep the menus around 60 FPS. And that's actually good. But if you use, let's say, the maximum optimization, low consumption, if I'm pronouncing correctly, it gets even worse. It goes under 48 FPS. That's why it's struggling up there. It's not even 60 FPS anymore. Not even 60. Under 48. It's kind of like between 40 to 50. So even for the menus, I don't recommend using this echo mode on its max, but this efficiency might be fine because it's above 50 FPS anyways. Yeah. But it also affects in-game settings. I'm going to show you in the next video. There are some bottlenecks when you use this, and I'm going to talk about them in the next video. And also HDR. If you want to play this game with the max FPS with the least drops and the highest response time, don't play on HDR. Play on SDR. That's my recommendation. Play on SDR with brightness on 50 or down to 47 for me, because on 47 I can still see this logo barely visible, so it's fine. Yeah. But HDR affects the frame rate in Call of Duty. That may sound weird, but I'll show you in the next video. Alright, let's see what questions we have here. PSN. Alright. I've added you. No, I'm not in the UK, but I play on I usually play on UK servers. How? With this VPS. My VPS is from UK, and when I play with this connection, I actually connect to UK servers most of the time. And in some games, for some reason, I don't know, it connects to France. Maybe because they are close. The servers have low ping, I don't know. But yeah, I usually play on UK servers. Just because when I meet people in the game, I want to speak to someone who speaks in English. And if I don't do this, there are various peoples. with different languages. So yeah, that's the reason. All right, let's see what do we have. What type of audio is the best for Call of Duty? I heard PC is good for EQ instead of home theater. What do you mean PC? Like you wanna output the this is what I do. I think there are very few people who know about this and do this. I actually output the audio to my PC first, and then from the PC I make any changes I like. And it's almost real time. The delay that is going to be added from the PC is around 1 millisecond. And then I can separate the channels, the audio, like the footstep sounds typically on frequencies between 100 to 250. I'm gonna make compression in those frequencies and make other high-end frequencies lower, so it works the best. That's the best thing. But if you are asking about the game settings, and if you don't have a PC and you want to play on just typical headphones or stuff like that, headphones or headphones with bass boost usually gave me better audio for guessing the direction of footsteps. Let's see who do we have here. Everything is private. That's great. That's how it should be. Yeah, I'm gonna test something also. I'm gonna go to a private match and try echo settings and see if they are going to affect anything in terms of frame rate. Alright, any update settings in Modern Warfare 3 for Dolby Atmos? Actually, I tested it and there is no native Dolby mix in Modern Warfare 3. Maybe there is for cinematics and stuff like that, but for the multiplayer and the story part, there is no native Dolby mix, and what it's doing is simply pass-throwing the Tempest 3D audio to Dolby mix, which adds 4 milliseconds delay. I did talk about it in a Spider-Man video, and I would just this is what I'm doing, by the way. And I would just recommend linear PCM. Yes, linear PCM. I don't think if it makes sense to use Dolby for multiplayer mode, because even if it had a native Dolby mix, there would be some delay. It's very minor. It's like, if I remember correctly, I did calculate it and I have a video on that, but I don't remember. It doesn't worth it for Call of Duty. Hi Daniel, I want to thank you for everything you make in your channel. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for watching. I'm happy you like them. What is the fidelity effects CA? Yes, you are correct. That's something interesting. My phone. Oh wait. Oh wow. Okay, let's talk about that later. I'm gonna explain this. The best way would be, wait. I'm gonna show you how that option works. What is happening? That option is some sort of upscaling methods to make the picture sharper, but it's not good, trust me. It's not even close to NVIDIA DLSS on PC, you know. Not close. I mean, if you think the game is too blurry when you are playing on 120 FPS, use it. Otherwise, for 60 Hz, I would keep it off. Let me show you. This is a good map for testing that. There is also PC audio on PC, but I was asking if that PC audio is better instead of home theater if you are using sound EQ. PC audio on what? Do you mean on... Whoa, why do we have such high ping? It doesn't matter. Anyways, just a second. Okay, I see why we have a high ping. Because of the stream. Okay. So, I only have this game on PS5, and the audio, I don't see anything like PC audio. It's cinema, home theater, soundbar, headphones, TV, stuff like that.
Deathmatch. Eliminate the enemy. Leave none alive.
Thank you so much, Captain. Nice to meet you. Wait, let me forget about that ping. Don't look at it. So let me show you the difference between these graphic settings. If you are playing in 120 Hz mode, which I'm playing, let me try this and see. Oh, so there is a difference even in the game in terms of if you have it on the lowest, the minimum energy consumption, it's going to actually remove the background when you are in the menu. That somehow helps to use less power, but it doesn't affect the FPS. We are in locked 120, so that is something you can decide. Doesn't affect the game frame rate. And oh, on PC there is an option called PC. Okay, I actually don't know because I didn't test this game on PC, so I'm not sure how it's going to work on PC and how that option is going to work. I'm actually not sure. If I can get I have to buy it definitely. That's why I'm not gonna pay another $70 for PC. Alright, so let's talk about that option, which was for graphics. When you are in 100, you are currently in gameplay. Alright, anyways. Oh, we can't change it. Yeah, it's going to sharpen the picture, but it's not great. Let me show you the difference. I want to find something. The game is already very blurry on 120 FPS for some reason on PS5. It's just, I'm gonna make it easier. On live stream, I think you can't see any difference. So here's how it looks when it's actually on 100% sharpness. You see those grainy stuff? My film grain is off. That's actually some aliasing problems and upscaling methods that cause those things. Oh, let's go out, and I'm gonna turn it off now. Now that I have it off, of course on live stream you're not gonna notice. The picture is less sharp, it's more blurry. It's much more blurry. Everything is more blurry. It's not a huge difference. I mean, if you are on a huge screen, you're gonna see the difference. Some people don't play on 120 Hz just because it looks too blurry and low resolution. But yeah, that option is going to sharpen the picture. It's also not that good. I usually keep it on lower values like 70. Alright, let's get out of this. Let's see what questions we have.
Return to base.
Oh, the Edge controller has a better response time. Oh, do the Edge, sorry. Depends on the game, to be honest, in terms of response time. I tried it in many games, and in some games it's very similar to the typical DualSense. For example, in Call of Duty, when I'm using it in Call of Duty, the average delay was like from 10 tests, 3 to 5 milliseconds, and sometimes the normal DualSense was like 2 milliseconds. It's kind of like almost the same. But in a game like Rainbow Six, which I did test also, and Overwatch 2, Edge is much faster, like 7 to 8 milliseconds faster all the time. That kind of comes to the game most of the time, I think. It's like it's not a hardware limitation between the Edge and typical DualSense, but somehow in some games, Edge responds faster. I don't know why exactly, even with the cable. Oh, on cable, Edge is faster, 100%. More than 100%. It's kind of on cable, it's usually 2 to 3 milliseconds on DualSense for idle delay, and for Edge, it's 0.5 milliseconds. So it's 6 times faster on cable. But that's not much, between 1 millisecond and 3 milliseconds. That's not a huge deal. Alright, let's see what we have here. Hi, wow, you're playing a game live now. I'm going to enjoy watching you playing a game with the PS5. Oh, thank you so much. We are actually mostly talking instead of playing because, wait, if I'm gonna actually play a game, I have to separate my stream connection from my game connection so I can have a low ping and then I can play. Otherwise, I'm not going to be able to do that. Alright. So let me see if there is any other question. We are here for questions mostly. Is there a way to trick the PS5 in 120 FPS when you have a 60 FPS display? Apparently, there is an EDID HDMI adapter that tricks it. Yes, there is a way to do that. And yes, I saw that adapter also. That works. And you know how it helps? Actually, you will get two benefits. If the game can run on a higher frame rate, you will have a lower delay on your controller. That's what I saw 99% of the time. When you are on 120 FPS mode, the controller delay is lower. There are very few games like Call of Duty which has low delay on 60 FPS mode. Most of the games are above 50, 100 milliseconds. That's a good thing. But in terms of visuals, I'm not sure what will happen, how much delay is going to add to the display. Because, for example, the capture card I'm using, this monitor is typically doesn't support PS5's VRR, and when I'm using it with this capture card in EDID mode, it somehow tricks the PS5, not tricks actually, it can make it work with VRR as well, as you can see. And it works perfectly. There is no problem in terms of VRR because this monitor doesn't support VRR from the PS5. So I'm not sure if that device is going to actually help or it's going to make more issues in terms of visuals. That might be a good idea to try. What about the Edge controller on PC? Does it work the same? On PC, there are a lot of things you can do. On PC, you can use the DS4 application, which also supports Edge, and you can give it scripts like to do rapid fire, to do custom aim assist. I'm not sure how much they are allowed because even on DS6 application, it says if you are going to use scripts, be aware that you may get banned in the games. So yeah, it's not the same. You have much more options and things you can do on PC. Do you think the new PS Plus Elite will be worth the upgrade from the normal one? Uh, how much is it? I think $200, right? And I've got the Pulse for $100 if I'm not wrong, or something like that. I'm not sure. I have to get it first and then make a review on it. Like, it has active noise cancellation, which is great. The microphone is finally not on the air caps, and it can give you a higher quality. I'm pretty sure they're not gonna use a much higher quality microphone, but just because it's closer to your mouth, it will sound better. That's something I'm sure about. And the drivers that they are going to use probably gives you a better sound stage, and you feel that the sound is coming kind of from speakers from outside instead of being playing inside your head. But those are like theory. We have to see we have to actually test and see if it's worth it. One of the problems I have with Pulse 3D, which I don't use it often these days, is the ear caps. Of course, you can buy some of third-party brands, but there is an issue with this inner part. How can I? I have to break it so you can see it. This part is not deep enough, and it hurts my ears after 2 to 3 hours. I don't know why. It's just, and I use third-party brands, and if they're gonna make more space between the driver and the caps, the sound quality will decrease. And if they're not going to make space between the two, then then it's gonna hurt my ears again. But some people don't have any issues. Maybe it's a problem with my ear shape. I'm not sure. Maybe that's just a problem with my ear shapes. But it's fine with other headphones. It's just an issue I have with Pulse 3D. So yeah. Let me see what we have. A lot of friends playing Overwatch. Alright. So I can actually buy the adapter then. Yes, you can try it, but I'm not sure if it's going to help because some adapter, even this capture card, of course, this capture card actually has zero latency between the input and the output. It's kind of real time, but there is a delay on PC around 7 milliseconds. I'm sure those devices which are going to trick the PS5 to output 120 Hz, they may actually add some delay. I'm not 100% sure. But maybe because you are using 120 Hz mode, then the overall delay is lower and then it's worth it. Yeah, I'm not sure. It's weird, these things, but yeah, it's a good thing. Like, if you see, what was the game? I remember there was a game which you could turn off VSync. Yes, Rainbow Six. You could turn off VSync on the console and get like 140, 150 FPS. And after turning it off, the delay was 10 milliseconds lower. I have a video on that. Turn off VSync on Rainbow Six. It causes screen tearing, but the latency was lower by like 10 to 12 milliseconds on the controller I'm talking about, by the way. And it was worth it, you know. Oh, thank you so much. Many of them are actually locked right now because sometimes I buy games for making reviews, and then when I finish them, I sell them. I sell the disc or stuff like that because I don't need them anymore. And if I'm gonna buy every single game and keep them forever, it's gonna cost thousands of dollars. So yeah. There are very few games I always keep, and they are like Spider-Man 2, God of War, I don't know, like the games that I really enjoy. I keep them forever. But for example, let's say a game like Uh, even Final Fantasy 16, I probably sell it someday. I'm not gonna keep it. I'm waiting for a 60 FPS patch that actually offers 60 FPS so I can play it. I left the game. I didn't finish it. 21% only game progress because I couldn't play on 30 FPS mode and 60 FPS wasn't good enough in this game. Yeah, it's kinda. I wish there was an option. More options. Is there a difference when you click the buttons or is it the same as the Sense controller? When you click the button, as I told you, it depends on the game actually, but I can tell you in more than 98% of the times, it responds faster. 98%. Only in games like Rainbow Six and Call of Duty and Battlefield, which I tested, the response time was very similar, like 1 to 2 milliseconds delay between the Edge and DualSense. But in other games, it's usually above 10-20 milliseconds and it's faster, just faster. Of course, you know how I test games, right? I mean, I'm not going to read direct controller inputs. It's kind of, let's say we are in this game. I'm going to connect my controller to a device which is going to measure the time when I press a button and it says, you did press this button at this time. And then I'm recording the picture from the capture card at the same time. And then it shows when you pressed this button, how long it took until it changed something on the picture. And then I'm going to calculate them in milliseconds, and then I remove the capture card delay as well because it has 7 milliseconds delay. And then it all becomes something like that. That's why I can't go under 1 millisecond because let's say in 120 hertz, we have 1000 milliseconds and 120 frames. It will be like 8.33 milliseconds for each frame, right? So if I'm testing it in a 120 hertz game and there is 1 frame difference, it will be 8.33 from pressing a button until it works in the game. And then if I remove the capture card delay, which is 7 milliseconds, and the OBS capture delay, which is usually 0.3, 0.4, something like that, it will be -8. And we get something like 0.33 milliseconds. It's less than 1 millisecond. That's why in my videos I have something like the delay is less than 1 milliseconds because there is no frame difference. It's like I can say almost real time. But it doesn't mean the controller is 0 milliseconds. It means the difference between the picture and the controller is 0. Because the picture also has some delay depending on the game you are playing and the output refresh rate. So it's kind of like that. I hope it makes sense because some people said DualSense can't be under 1 millisecond. And that's true. It's not actually under 1 millisecond. It's a difference between the two, the picture and the controller button. All right, let me see. Too many questions here. Can you show us the best audio setting for Pulse 3D headset? I already have a video on that, but I can connect it for instance right now. If you are going to use it as a general, let me give you. Here's the EQ I would be using for everything. I mean, if I'm going to play a new game and I want to see if the audio sounds good, if things are okay, or I start with this. I always start with this because it's going to fix the high-end frequencies which are weak in pulse and the bass frequency. So this is the neutral audio actually. And then I make changes. For example, I test it and then in Modern Warfare, I noticed the bass is still not enough, the high is still not enough, stuff like that. So, wow. Okay. Hello, Mr. Place. Nice to meet you. Oh, I remember you from Rogue Company. You're on my Discord server too. $200 for a controller, no chance. You sell games pointless, you lose money on them. What do you mean you sell games pointless, you lose money on them? No, if you mean what I talked about, there are games I don't like even playing and I just buy them to make tests and videos about. Or I rent them. Actually, there's a shop here. He's a kind person and he usually gives me the games like for rent for $7, $8 for 2 days, 3 days. And I can just make videos about them. And if there is a game I want to play it like Spider-Man, I will buy it. Hello, Spider Boy. What's going on? Everything's going well. How about you? Are the buttons softer to press or harder? Or same? Let me try it right now. You know, the X button, actually many people reported this. The X button is softer. For some reason, it is not like the normal DualSense. So this button, actually, which you usually jump with, feels softer. And I don't know why. First, I thought it's my controller issue. I did return it, they sent me a new one, and that was the same. And then I went to the shop and tested 10 of them, and all of them had the same thing. Like this button, the X button, actually is softer. The rest of the buttons feel the same. Of course, the L2 and R2 have these small touches here, and it's easier to keep your finger on it because it's harsher, and the normal DualSense doesn't have this. If you can see it in my webcam, I don't think so. There are these square, circle, and stuff like that on it. It's not as soft as DualSense, which you already know it probably. Not going to lie, I'm lost on what's going on. We are just answering some questions about the games, about DualSense Edge and stuff like that. If you have any question about Edge or anything, you can just ask. Just doing this. All right. Did you know you can do this before I read more questions? I did see a video and then I noticed I can do this. Wait, not this actually, but you can do this and then do this anywhere. This is cool. I didn't know I can do this. After watching that video, I noticed I can do that from the web lines. And that was really cool. Alright. Bugged sometimes. Did you know when you go step on these fans, your controller vibration feels different in this game compared to other stuff? I mean, haptic feedbacks. Dude, that's really cool. Alright, let's read some more questions. We've got a lot of questions. I mean the max footsteps. On PS5 what I found what I showed you in the last video using headphones with bass boost and or headphones alone with the EQ I showed in the last video for... Oh, I think nobody actually noticed. I did show the audio settings for Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 in the DualSense Edge video for Modern Warfare 3. But the new settings will be coming in like 2 or 3 days. I'm working on them already. I'm waiting for a new tool, which is so cool. This new tool can actually show you how much power is the PS5 using depending on the game settings, and it can show you also if HDR is affecting the FPS, if SDR is faster, and if using HDR in a game going to actually make higher input delay for the controller. This is a very cool tool. I did save like 10 months so I can buy it now. It's very cool. I can make like different tests that I could never do before. That's why I'm waiting now. I'm waiting for this tool so I make it. I already noticed that HDR in Call of Duty causes more delay in controller. I have a quick question. You probably just covered this earlier, but for stickers in Modern Warfare 3, I'm using Precise, but I don't feel a difference. Is there any sticker you recommend for? I'm actually using default right now if I'm using the dynamic one, but it depends on what you are actually doing. For example, I had a friend, he was saying, I feel like I want a dual zone feeling, which is from, what was the name? Overwatch in Modern Warfare. So I told him use linear and quick plus 2. It's kinda like dual zone, it's not exactly triple zones. Dual zone aim system in Overwatch, and he wanted something simulated to that. If you don't want a specific thing, I would typically recommend trying default and try changing the game settings, because there are a lot of more settings in the game that can help you with aiming instead of this edge. Because look, for example, we have here quick, we have, let me see, we have these zones, right? Don't move automatically. Okay, we have these zones, but you can't decide where should be the first zone from the next one. For example, I want the last zone to be somewhere like, oh, it's out of my camera. I want it to be at the very end, but it's not possible, you know? So it's kind of limited. I usually say if there is a setting in the game that can help you with all of these things, use the game settings and use DualSense Edge settings as the last option that can help you. Okay. But one thing that I usually use for sure is quick plus 5 for left stick. That helps a lot for left stick. Do we have dropped frames? I see some stream reports. Is the stream fine? Can someone confirm if the stream is fine? Because my software is saying there are... Okay, now it shows it's fine. Alright, let me read some more of your messages. Oh, we can't even get close to 100 FPS, but the quality is very low. It's not because of the stream, but I tell you, when you are playing on performance on capped VRR or on PS5, look, a lot of shimmering and a lot of... I mean, this is something that some people may don't like to hear, but the Spider-Man 2 doesn't look very good. It's not the best. Even if I use capped VRR and 60 Hz mode and quality mode, it just doesn't look that good. It's just average, but it's fine. It's okay. We know we shouldn't expect much from PS5 with ray tracing and stuff, and this game is using ray tracing for everything. That's a lot. I recently discovered your channel and I really like the technical approach you give. All text and play on your content. Thank you so much, Alex. I'm really glad you like the content. So I have a doubt. One of my PS5 controllers D-pad is producing a squawking. What is that? That's a new word in English for me, sorry. Sound like... Oh, I think I know what you are talking about. I have the same thing on my... That's because of... I don't know the name, but there is something plastic shape under these D-pads, and over time they may get ripped, and you need to change them. They are very cheap, by the way, and you can change them by yourself. I did it for this controller because that happened to me. What? I finished the Spider-Man 2 and I didn't know that. You didn't know what? Oh, I think you mean the zip line. This comment is... Yes, I didn't know it until someone mentioned it. Like, you can put a zip line and then you can be at anywhere you like, and then just hold L2 and X and bam, you can just do this. Where is that thing? Let's just grab it at least. Great.
Wow, are you cute? Are those heart eyes?
Oh, that's nice. Did your husband do it too? Look, and there are some bugs in performance on capped mode, even in quality mode. Like, you see that shadow? I'm not sure if you can see it next to the building. Just glitching, and all this shimmering stuff, and yeah. So that's what I'm saying. Like, it is a very good looking game, but it's not the best. Oh, someone searched for specs. That was a lot. Do you recommend dynamic? No, it's dropping. Dynamic, do you mean for the controller settings? I'm using default right now, and I will share my new settings in the new video. I already shared it in the start of the stream actually, but I'm using default here. But in the game, yes, in Call of Duty I use dynamic because I can follow the target very fast, and then when they are moving, the aim assist is going to stick the camera, your aim, to the character actually. And let me show you. That dynamic is reversed of what this is. Like, it's fast at the start and then slower at the end. Okay, let's see what we have. There was drop frames, now it's fine. Okay. Yeah, I saw that, like, we had some drop frames. So that sound is fine and no problem, right? Yeah. Actually, that's one of the reasons I don't go live often, because the connection I'm using is fast, but it's not as stable. It's like there are chances that it goes on a lower speed, especially for upload. Like, you can have download 100 megabits per second all the time, but upload is not reliable, and it kinda affects the whole stream. Look, the graphics from distance, for example, the cores are disappearing, right? I've seen one of them disappeared, I'm sure. Or maybe I was wrong. Anyways, we are in uncapped performance mode. That's a lot. Just 60 FPS stable mode. And now it should look a bit better in terms of resolution. There must be a train, right? I want to see if I can stop the train. Oh wait, yeah, this shimmering is also noticeable here because of, oh sorry, and aliasing. These are aliasing issues and shimmering, and yeah, it's noticeable. I'm sure the same is presented in quality mode. That's what I don't like. The game is very good and looks very good, but these things should not be like this. Maybe in future updates. Just a second. Okay. Hi, greetings. Will you be reviewing the Pulse Elite or Pulse Explorer? I will probably review both of them, as long as they don't cost over $200. I don't know how much they cost in here, because you know, PS5 it was tagged for 500 and I bought it, I remember, for $800 here, and it took like 1-2 years until it was actually $500. So I have to see how it goes with Pulse headset. Usually more expensive than what they say. Let me see. So we have this. Okay, and we have this. Let's wait for the train. Will there be a train? I think so. Takes too long. So do you think the holiday sales in PS Store will have good deals than Black Friday? A very hard question. I was recently so busy and I didn't check any sales on PS Store. Let me see what we have. Top 10 games in my country? Really? NBA 2K. Oh, I can download it with PS Plus Premium. Yes. So why didn't I know this? Okay, I will get this later and I will make a video about it. Some people asked already to make videos about sport games. Your content is great. The PS5 is still 750. Oh, that's a lot. Hello DJ. How are you doing? 750. Let me check the stores here. 1 second, because I might be also mistaken. The PS5 disc edition. I want to see how much it costs here. But there was a time it was actually 500 here, so it actually came down to that price here. But I did buy it for 700 something, 50, 70, 800. I don't remember correctly. Okay, I think we actually can't get a train here. Where is a train? It's not coming. Alright, 1 second, I'm gonna check the PS5 price here. Doing great. That's great. Nice to hear that. Thank you so much. Can I reach that airplane with things like this? Let me see. How can I get to that airplane? I have to find a way to do that. Oh, it disappeared? No, so I think it actually is possible to get to that airplane. I have to check later. See if there is a video on that, maybe. Okay, great. I'm stuck. Okay, let's see what we have here. Oh, the PS5. Not the slim actually. I'm looking for the normal one. 27. I'm gonna convert from euros to dollars. It's $520 here right now. So yeah, it's worse in your country now. 750 is a lot. Now it's 520 here. Converting from euros to dollars. Let's fight them a little.
Stakeout? Not in my neighborhood. What's the ETA on the cloak? Looking tech kind of let you down today, yeah, fellas? Target lock.
Oops. That's why I say maybe actually the hard mode is good for this game, because this is, I think, the default mode right now, and it's actually easy.
I'm actually not a fan of VTOLs. Mind if I get rid of it?
Okay.
Next time, do your ambushes in the streets, like normal criminals.
90 FPS, 120 FPS. When you look at distance, it becomes lower. When you look at the sky, there is nothing to render, so it can become 95 FPS. Alright, so let's see what we have here. Live chat. Alright, no new questions. That's good. How much of this did I unlock? Oh, there are a lot. I would like to get platinum in this game, but nowadays I didn't have time to play much. There is not much left, but yeah. There are some.
That symbiote just grabbed someone. Clear out! I've got this! Where'd those symbiotes come from?
Where is he? Oh. Why is he waiting? Oh, there are also artifacts here. Look. That's these graphical issues I talk about. I know it's not much, but yeah, it happens. Anyways, let me finish him first. But yeah, look.
These things don't quit.
This happens in performance mode mostly, but also in quality mode I've seen these things like this. And it comes to I don't know what. But the story was great. I mean, one of the best Spider-Man stories in games I've ever played. I played the old Spider-Man games too. This one was really nice. Alright. Hello, Halo. How are you doing? So we were talking about Call of Duty HDR making delay for your controller. That's gonna be the main topic for the next video, remember it. Because HDR looks fine and SDR is also good in Call of Duty, but unexpectedly HDR was causing more delay in controller on PS5. Remember that. When do you expect to release your updated video for DualSense settings Modern Warfare 3? Hello. I'm actually releasing a new video for full PS5 settings, which comes in like 2 or 3 days, because as I said, I'm waiting for a tool that actually can measure the difference between HDR and SDR delay from the picture and the controller and stuff like that. So it's more reliable to use what setting for your game. But for the edge settings, it'll be probably a video after that. Like, yes, HDR causes delay. In Modern Warfare 3, it causes delay, yes. I was surprised, you know. At first, I was actually working on the video for HDR settings for Modern Warfare 3 on PS5, okay? And then I suddenly realized it was in this map. Maybe it's only in some maps, but it does happen. It was on the snowy map. And when I was looking at the sky, where it has actually the peak luminance, I was trying to measure the maximum brightness in HDR, and if there was something that would hit the peak brightness in Call of Duty, that would cause more delay from my controller and also would push the console more. And when I had HDR off on SDR, the controller delay was stable. It was all the time like something like 3 to 5 milliseconds. But on HDR, it could go like 24 milliseconds, 30 milliseconds, depending on if there is a bright object on the screen. I'm not sure why, but I'm gonna make tests for that in the next video, and that's why I'm waiting. I mean, I could have made the video ready by now, but I held because I wanted to get this new tool which can show me the exact power usage when I'm looking at certain area from the PS5, so I can prove that HDR is causing more delay on the controller. That's a lot of things to consider. All right, let's see what we have. Thank you. You're so welcome. One of the games I play a lot and I'm addicted to is Overwatch 2. I don't know. When I started at first, it was very hard for me because every character had different abilities and you had to know what to play against which character. And there were a lot of characters. It's not like other games that you can pick up a good weapon or something like that and that's it. But then when I learned how to play it because I was making videos, I got addicted to it. Now I played like at least 1 hour, 2 hours per day. And I think I have the most playtime in this year for Overwatch, yeah. 401 hours, if you can see it. This is the game I played the most in 2023, I think. There is no game I played. There's actually games I played more than this, but in the past, not recently. So we got something interesting here, that this Echo Mode preset actually affects the frame rate in the menus. And if we put it on the maximum, the frame rate drops below 48. You see that struggle? If we have it on efficiency, we have it above 60, and if we turn it off, we get... Oh, we can no longer get 120 FPS. What happened? Okay, For a second, I was like, what happened to the PS5? It's no longer 120 even if the echo is off. So yeah, there's an effect. Okay. All right. Okay, thank you everyone for joining. I think I'm going to stop this live stream. The questions are all answered, I guess. Let me check the questions if there is anything. What about God of War Ragnarok for DualSense Edge settings? Oh, God of War Ragnarok, I didn't play that game with DualSense Edge, but I would definitely use back buttons for I don't remember which buttons I used the most in God of War, but I typically use this circle and X typically for most games. I wish we had 4 back buttons because that way I could have both of these on back buttons and then I could just keep my thumb on the sticks all the time. That's one of the good things about Xbox controller, however many people don't like that, but yeah, that's the thing that is good. I hope maybe some third party replacement or something adds 2 more back buttons to Edge. That could be really nice. I don't think if you have such thing, but maybe they make a kit or something that you can add 2 more back buttons and then it would be great. All right, let me see the chats. Live chat. Did you get chance to purchase Sony InZone bots? No, not actually. I think they are not even available here yet. I mean, you see it says available, but then when you're gonna finish your purchase, it's going to say it's out of stock something. InZone bots. Let me see if it's actually available. And I think it's overpriced right now in this location at least. No, it's not. And there is only one shop here. 310 euros, something like $350, I think. That's a lot, you know? That doesn't make sense to buy it right now. Even 200 is a lot. I don't know why this thing happens, but I'm not sure if it's the same in every other location, but at least where I live, when there is something new, it's gonna be overpriced. If something is tagged for 200, it will be like 300 for a long while. If PS5 was 500, it was 800, 900 here. I remember there was a time, like Pulse 3D was about $160. So high. For thumb grips, would you recommend Control Freak or another brand? I haven't tested Control Freak, so I'm not sure. But I think they are a very good brand. Many people are using them, but I wasn't lucky to get those yet. I'm gonna try them, but haven't tested. It's $200 here. That's nice. It will probably be 200 in a month or something here. But yeah, when it's more available, it will be on real price. Do you know if Bluetooth is turned off will make less latency? Oh, very nice question. Let me add a marker here. I forgot to make a video about this. I forgot to even test this. So you mean we go actually to PS5 settings, and where could we turn off that thing? I don't remember where we could actually turn off Bluetooth. Oh, it's here. So you mean if we turn off Bluetooth on the console and then use the controller with the cable, is it going to make a difference for the controller delay? It's a nice question. I'm really gonna test that. I forgot. I wanted to test that for the last video for DualSense Edge tips you didn't know. But this is good. I'm gonna cover it in the next DualSense video. I don't think if it does, but maybe it does. Some people reported this. I hope you're having a great day. I recently subbed to your channel. Love the content. Thank you so much. I'm having a great night actually right now. Thank you so much. It's about I mean, yeah, it's night 22 to 10:30 almost p.m. Yeah. Yes, I will test this in a future video to see if we actually have a difference when you turn off Bluetooth on the PS5, which you also need to turn off the console, I think. And then I will make another delay test. Because it was interesting, some people said when we turn off Bluetooth and use the controller with cable, the latency is less. I don't know how they can feel it. I mean, even if this is true, even if such thing exists, for example, when I usually make tests in these kinds, the difference is like 4 milliseconds, 5 milliseconds. How can people notice 4 millisecond delay on the controller? There must be at least 10, 20 so you can notice the difference. But I remember there was a person commented on my video because I was like, there is no difference between HDCP on versus off in Call of Duty. And then he said, I feel the Call of Duty in 120 Hz mode is faster when HDCP is off. And then I was like, okay, let me test it. And it was 3 milliseconds. How could this guy notice 3 milliseconds less delay with his eyes? You know, that's really interesting. Sometimes some people are really interesting. Does gaming with VRR makes a big difference for someone who plays competitively on console, or it's not a big deal if the monitor doesn't support it? Which games do you play? For example, Call of Duty. If you have let's see, for example, let's say we are in the game. You see at the top of the screen the VRR is enabled. When the frame changes on the screen, you see, for example, between 70 to 50, there would be tearing issues on your screen if your screen doesn't support VRR. But the fact is, Call of Duty, right now I have echo mode on. For example, Call of Duty is perfectly stable in 120 FPS most of the time. Forget about the menu, by the way. The menu is a little bit weird. Or Overwatch 2, for example, is stable on 120 FPS. Or Rainbow Six. So for such games, it doesn't matter much. But if you're gonna play a game that is not going to hit 120 and it's going to be somewhere between like 48 to 100, then you will notice a difference. Yes, that's the only case. Or you wanna play a game like Spider-Man where you have 40 FPS output, 50 FPS output, then that's gonna make a difference. Of course, for 48 above. Can you make a video about the response time of the triggers versus response time of the bumpers, and maybe add comparison with instant mouse click triggers of a scuff? Or that's a huge idea and a lot of tests. You know, response time, did you watch the video I made and the thumbnail was I was wrong? The one problem with DualSense Edge. That was a nice explanation of showing sometimes it doesn't matter how fast the response time is and how fast the mouse click kind controllers are. The game is not going to allow you to shoot more bullets. For example, in Call of Duty, even in Call of Duty. Let me just see if I can go to firing range. Yeah. I'm gonna show it to you here. You would probably notice it easily. No matter how fast I push it, in Call of Duty the delay is kinda like 30 to 40 milliseconds for each bullet in what is the name? In pistols. So even if I have a mouse click kind of controller, no matter how many times I press it, it's not going to get faster than this. It just doesn't get any faster. Because this is what it is. There's a limitation for this weapon. Or for example, let's say, let me try changing. On this account, I have almost nothing. Or for example, if you have a weapon like these rifles. For example, this one. I remember I tested it in that video and the delay was like 45 milliseconds for each bullet. If I'm not wrong, please don't note this stuff. Okay? So, no matter how fast I press it, it's not going to get faster than this because there's a time limit. But it depends on the game too. If I'm playing, for example, Fortnite or Rainbow Six, there are weapons in those games that they have no limits. Like you can go as fast as you want and your weapon will shoot. There is no limit. So in those cases, those mouse click kind of controllers can actually help you. I agree. But if you are going to play a game like Call of Duty specifically, it's like you can have a fast, rapid shooting with normal DualSense. Even with a normal DualSense, you are not forced to use mouse kind and stuff like that. Or I remember there was one of them which was much slower. Let's say this is the best example I can show you about mouse click kind stuff. This weapon has a lot of delay between each bullet which is going to be shot. So if I press my R2 10 times, it's only shooting 2 bullets, right? Now let's say I do it before the next shot comes in. Nothing happens, you see? It's not going to consider it. It's going to drop the bullet. As long as the reload is not done, your input doesn't matter. So how could those mouse click kind controllers be helpful? You can be sure that you are changing the zone as fast as possible. So in that case, they are actually making you a little faster, but it's not like day and night. In Call of Duty, in Fortnite or Rainbow Six, it's day and night. Those mouse clicks are day and night. But in Call of Duty, depending on the weapon, if you are playing with such weapons, it's like maybe 10 to 20% faster from the tests I made in that video. But I'm gonna try them. Actually, it's interesting. I wanna see what's the difference if I have some sort of mouse click R2 buttons. Alright, so let me see. When playing online matches, every millisecond is crucial. Yes, it's really important. I was talking about that just now when I'm streaming because of my upload speed, which is limited. My ping is above 60 milliseconds. I usually don't play Call of Duty if my ping is above 50 milliseconds. Above 50 milliseconds, I mean, sometimes it happens, it goes to 70, but at the base, when you start the game, if you are above 100 and something like that, in games like Call of Duty, it just doesn't work. And people are looking for things like 3 milliseconds less delay with DualSense Edge, while their game latency is like 50 milliseconds. If you're gonna spend money and if it's possible to get a better connection, I would say improve your network. Make your latency to the server like under 20 milliseconds, under 10 milliseconds. That's gonna help much more than just a few milliseconds because of a controller or your monitor. For example, I had a friend, he was like, I got a monitor, it's like the response time is less than 1 millisecond. And then his ping in the game was like 55. It doesn't make a huge difference if your online latency is high. So it's kind of the first thing I would go after is reducing my network latency. What happened? Lobby timeout. It was like, enough of this, go out. I want to turn on echo mode again. Yes. I don't play in this account because I just test weapons on this account. By the way. Alright, let me see other questions. I have LG C1 OLED with HDR peak brightness in game mode up to 715 nits. I have a video like from 1 week ago, and it is your HDR settings are probably wrong, and I recommend you to watch that video. That video helps you for choosing the best settings. For Call of Duty, if you follow the PS5 system calibration, it works perfect without any black level rays, as I tested it already for the video. But for other games, third-party games, you may need to make the step 3 of 3 0 clicks, and step 1 and 2 blend the sun into the background. Depends on the game actually. Do you think PS5 Pro will be capable for 4K 60 FPS all games? No, I don't think so. If there is going to be a PS5 Pro and it costs something like 600 or 700, I don't think so. I mean, 4K 60 FPS, no. I was hoping for such thing on PS5 when it was announced, you know, up to 8K and stuff like that. And now, at its best, we can get, even without ray tracing, we are usually getting something like 1080p, 1440p. And it's, and in what setting, for example? Let me ask this question. On PC, for example, we have ultra, I don't know, low, medium. Yeah, you can run, for example, Call of Duty on native 4K, but with low settings. And shadow quality could be very low, texture quality. Yeah, that's kind of thing they never talk about. Hey, I'm using VRR on PS5 with FPS counter from my monitor on a screen display. Should the FPS counter be a solid 120 FPS in the game? I thought the FPS counter would count every individual frame drop. Oh wait, I'm using VRR. If your screen supports VRR, so it should actually show you the current frame rate. You see what I'm showing at the top of the video right now? I mean, the screen right now? That 1440p. Oh, my hand can't reach there. That's 1440p 120. That's the real-time frame rate, and when we go to menus or something, it drops, and you see? It changes constantly. So if you have the VRR on, you can see this information in your monitor OSD. If not, it will show you 120 even if it's just 30 FPS. It's not gonna show you the true real-time FPS. Hello, thanks a lot for your TV game settings. It helps a lot. So much when all YouTubers make... it helps so much. Most even all YouTubers make videos about LG TV. Oh, that's true. Because most gamers also use LG TVs, I guess. That's one of the reasons I mean, I wanted also to buy a Samsung S95B, and then I realized there are very few people who are actually using Samsung TVs for gaming if they are going after a TV like that. So yeah, I decided to stick with LG again. So it's kind of But I have a QN90A in the living room, a QN90B in my parents' home, and I sometimes make tests on those TVs, and I give the settings for the videos too, but not in my room. Daniel, doesn't VRR help to lower the latency, delay, response time in any online multiplayer game? But there isn't anything you can do about that thing. VRR, I can't say that for sure, because from the tests we made in Rainbow Six Siege, where you have the option to turn off VSync, and then we also turned off VRR on the console, the response time from the controller was faster. So the VRR, I'm not sure, because it didn't make sense to have VSync off and VRR on. In that case, I couldn't get a true signal for testing the delay. But in Rainbow Six Siege specifically, it was faster when VRR was off and VSync was off. But in Call of Duty, when I have VRR on and I'm in 120 FPS mode, it's even faster than the Rainbow Six Siege. It's like the delay is usually under 1 millisecond. So it kind of depends on the game. You can't say VRR would help 100% to make you faster or slows you down. Depends on the game. Oh, things look better here. Do HDR give any latency? Always wondered. Yes, that's the thing I've recently noticed in Call of Duty, and I was also always wondering about it. It was the first time I noticed the latency, and then I did test it with the controller, and I was like, wow, why is this happening? So let me tell you what happened. I'm gonna cover this in the next video, but as I said this 10 times already, I'm waiting for a tool which can measure the latency between the picture in HDR mode and SDR and the controller. So I was testing HDR on this map. Let me open it. So I was testing HDR at this map, which will be loaded soon. And I've noticed something very strange. By the way, do you see this latency? It's because I'm using a dedicated VPS as VPN, because there are some people who try to DDoS my connection when I'm live. And when I use a VPN, it can hide my IP and they can no longer interrupt my videos. Okay, so I was in this map and testing HDR to see how much is the peak brightness when looking at the sky and stuff like that. And I've noticed as soon as I'm doing that, looking at very bright objects, my console is actually drawing more power from the socket. And also, I've noticed the FPS drops on HDR a little bit depending on where you are looking at. For example, now you see it shows perfect 120, but it's not very accurate. You have to test the frame time delay after recording. And then I was testing the controller. I've noticed there was like 5 to 10 milliseconds more delay when I was playing on HDR and looking at something very bright. As long as I was somewhere which was below 400 nits, that's very weird. I'm saying it right now. Maybe it's just related to this map or something, but I'm gonna wait to get that tool. When I was somewhere which was under 500 nits, somewhere like this, things were fine. As soon as I would look at the sky or something very bright, the delay for my controller for shooting, reloading, stuff like that would go higher, much higher. And then I made the same test on SDR. We are on SDR right now. That's why you see the frame rate is pretty stable on 120. It doesn't go like that on HDR. And then I did test it on SDR on the same place, the delay, and I noticed it's actually an issue comes to HDR, not SDR. So the delay is not that much. It's kind of like 5 to 10 milliseconds from the test I made. You can make your decision, but I personally always prefer SDR in Call of Duty games multiplayer mode, because from the test I've ever made, SDR has lower latency with the controller. I don't know why, how it could have something to do with the controller, but it somehow does have something to do with the controller. When you are getting peak brightness on HDR, it somehow pushes the console more, and then there is a delay to respond to your actions. While on SDR it doesn't happen. It's like less power. Alright, so I play FIFA, very nice. For some reason my monitor does not change constantly even when using VRR. Does that mean my monitor has some sort of fake HDMI 2.1? Look, it depends on the game. For example, right now in Call of Duty it's stable on 120. Why should it change? But when I go to the menus, let's switch. Where you can actually test it is on the menus.
Mission compromised. It's a draw.
If you have Call of Duty specifically, I'm gonna show you how you can make a true test. Go to graphics mode and change this echo mode preset to efficiency, and then on the menu you should get a frame rate somewhere between 48 to 60-70. You see, now the frame rate changes. If you have this echo mode off, by the way, you would get 120, something like that. I'm not kidding. So yeah, on the menu, that's where I see frame drops. And by the way, if you want to ensure your monitor is actually using the VRR from the console, just go to video output and current video output signal and see if it's actually showing this VRR. I'm streaming right now. I'm on 2K, not 4K, but yeah, 48 to 120. So you can ensure about that. I have the Sony A90J. Yeah, that's a very good TV. I remember it was very expensive here as well, but that was one of the best TVs I've seen on the market when I was going to buy an OLED TV. This TV catched my eyes, but it was too expensive, I remember. I'm new to channel. Can you tell me, does a trigger shot quick? I'm going to buy one. I would highly suggest you to watch the video that I made. I think I can't open YouTube when HDCP is off, right? I can? Wait, that's not... I can. No. For a moment, I thought I can actually use YouTube when HDCP is off. Forget it. It just switched to 60 Hz. Now, if you go here, it switches to 120 again. Yeah, there's a video I made. My DualSense Edge playlist. I think I have the link of it. You can check the DualSense Edge playlist. There is a video I said I was wrong. Okay. I was wrong. And there I explain why actually... Oh, why is it locked to 60 now? And it's going to help with some games and some weapons, yes, but not with every game and every weapon. That's what you should not expect. For example, if you're gonna play Call of Duty, it's gonna help you. If you're gonna play Fortnite or Rainbow Six, that's gonna help you. But if you're gonna play Overwatch 2 specifically, because I play that a lot. That's not gonna help you in Overwatch 2. There's a huge delay for. I mean, Overwatch is kind of the most fair game I've seen. They made time limits so no one can cheat on PS5 actually, at least. No one can cheat on Overwatch 2 in terms of rapid fire. That's very good. So what happened here? We have 120 Hz mode enabled. Yes. What if we have it disabled? Now I have it enabled. It's showing 60 up there. Now it's true. Oh, you see, there are sometimes bugs. Of course, the software I'm using for this frame counting is Elgato 4K capture. Sometimes it's buggy, but your monitor shouldn't be buggy. Alright. Samsung QLEDs suck. I had one and after 2 years I changed it to Sony OLED A90J. If you're gonna compare QLEDs to OLEDs, of course, I mean, there's a huge day and night difference between the two. Unless you're gonna get, I don't know, a panel that has too many dimming zones and they work great. Otherwise, even if they have too many dimming zones, they're still not as great as OLED when it comes to game mode. When you enable game mode, they get worse, but on OLED, it's just fine. Yeah, it depends on the game. I don't like HRSense launch day. I think the games is not quite there yet. Worst latency. It's not like worst latency in all games. It just specifically in Modern Warfare 3 and when you are looking at some surfaces that have the peak brightness. So I'm not sure about that. But yeah, HDR is not great in all games on PS5 yet. I agree with that. You need to do a lot of adjustments. Is FreeSync Premium good for FPS games on PS5? Oh, I don't understand what you mean by that. Exactly. I mean, if your monitor is going to support PS5's VRR, then it's going to work with the PS5 VRR range, then it's fine. Yeah. Hey Daniel, how was your day? It was very good, thank you. Oh, everything PS5 Pro. You're ready for PS5 Pro, right? Let's see here. Hope you remember me. Yeah, I remember you. I was there on Gaming Tech's live stream. That was a nice stream too. What are some ways to truly decrease your latency in game? I'm talking about ping, not input delay. The first thing I would say, search for the game you are playing, for example, Call of Duty, Overwatch, whatever, and then search to see where are the servers. For example, I know Overwatch has servers in Paris, it has servers in Germany, and stuff like that, okay? And then find the IPs of those servers. You can find them in some websites. And then test a ping from your connection to those servers to see which has the fastest response to your connection. And then you're gonna buy a VPN that has a server in that country which has a low ping to the game server. And you're gonna connect to that VPN, and then that VPN is gonna connect to the game server and it's going to give you a lower ping. But that's only possible if there's one important thing. If your current connection doesn't have a good ping to the game. Most of the time I see people playing with VPNs, they have a higher ping. There is no way they get lower ping. But there are ways like force the game to put you in a specific region. I know my connection is faster to Paris than Germany. So I made a specific VPS server, and what happens when I log in, the game thinks I'm in Paris and connects me to the Paris servers, and it doesn't use the VPN. It just thinks I'm in Paris with some DDNS stuff like that, you know. I'm not gonna go through it. It gets too crazy if I want to talk about it with DDNS. But in 80% of the cases, it doesn't worth it because people don't know how to do all this stuff and they just end up losing money. That's what I found. For example, my ping to Overwatch 2 servers is usually 70 milliseconds. For some reason, it connects to Germany servers. I don't know why, but I know my ping to Paris servers is 40 milliseconds. So I made a specific DDNS custom server, and then I force Overwatch 2 to connect me to Paris instead of Germany, and that helps me to get a lower ping. Hope that makes sense. Daniel, does having the PS5 on 1080p instead of 4K lower the latency? Force screen video to be 1080p. I don't know. You mean I go here, for example, and then I change the resolution to 1080p or compared to 4K or something like that. I did test it in Jedi Survivor and it didn't make any difference. That's the one thing I can say for sure, but I didn't test it in Call of Duty. I mean, Call of Duty is already too fast. How can I test something that already has near real-time response? Less than 1 frame. If a game is very bad, like Jedi Survivor, in terms of response time, then I can make tests because I can find the difference. But if a game is really fast right now, it's very hard with my current hardware. Salam, salam, salam. Are you Turkish or from somewhere? Oh, don't write messages all in caps because some bots do this, and I did actually made that go away. How's it going? Everything's going fine, thank you. Watching your videos since I got the DualSense Edge. DualSense. Oh, thank you so much. There are more videos coming for many games. The thing is, to make these videos possible to be working actually and not giving misinformation, I need to play the games. For example, I can't give advice for Modern Warfare 3 right now when I just played for 26 hours. I have to play it for 100 hours and then give a true advice for controller. Alright. I'm glad you said that about Call of Duty. I haven't noticed any difference with your... settings. What do you mean? Yeah, that's actually the thing. In Call of Duty, I would say try to make your best settings from the game settings at first and don't use... oh, there was something some people mentioned. I forgot to mention this in the video too. I'm using dynamic, but I have this aim response curve slope scale on 0.85. You have to press square so you can see it. What does it do? Let's say our response curve is normally linear, and then let me make it simple. Let's say this is your default curve in Modern Warfare 3, and this is your dynamic curve. Let's say this is your dynamic curve. For example, what does this option do exactly? Aim response curve, slope scale, something like that. What does this option do? It's like the curve adjustment. As lower as you make it, as more linear it becomes in the game. So if the default dynamic curve looks like this, for example, it doesn't look like this, by the way. If the default is exactly like this or something like that, then using this option, you can reduce that curve, that S-curve, reverse S-curve. You can make it more linear. give it a try. I would say try on 25, 50, 75, 100 and see which one goes the best for you. For me, 0.85 works the best with dynamic. But again, it's for right now. I have to play the game more. Yeah, usually you have more. You see, for example, for dynamic, you can change the curve adjustment in 100 steps. But on PS5, all you have is 5 steps, 10 steps at best. It's not much. But in the game, you have 100 steps. That's much more working. Alright, let me see. Hello. In the Black Ops 2 and PS3, I remember there was an option when the game was searching for. Oh. I think most games do the same nowadays, but when they don't have many players, at least Call of Duty does this. First, it says searching for games, for example, with ping 50 milliseconds, and then it expands the area. It says within 100 milliseconds range. It means it's searching at first for your region, and then it's going to search in other regions that are close to you. And if it doesn't find match, it just expands it. I remember once it was finding players from Africa, and I had 400 millisecond ping. But that's just to help you to find the game. That's actually good. Hello sir, I've been watching your videos since I got the DualSense. I was wondering, would you ever cover settings for Division 2? Have been... Oh, you know, I've heard a lot of interesting stuff about Division, like there is no limit to go back to 0. Oh, that's too loud. Let me make it... For example, in Call of Duty and most other games, you hear that? I hope you hear, wait. As long as you are holding this and you are not back to 0 position, when I release it to 0, there is a sound effect. You hear that? It's like you are releasing the actual gun. What is the name of that? I don't know in English. But in the Division 2, people say there is no limit. Like you can actually go here and instead of a full release, go halfway and push again. And just do this, a spam shooting. You see, it doesn't work in Call of Duty. You have to reach to 0 position. But in the Division, they say it's kind of like that. I'm not sure, I just heard. So I have to test it. I don't say 100% I'm gonna make the video for that, but I have it in mind. I have it in mind in the game list after Call of Duty, because most of my viewers come from Call of Duty. Final Fantasy 16 on PS5 performance mode outside of the battle. Yes. They didn't make any fix. I mean, let's just check for updates. I think it's more than 2 months. There are no new updates. And when I check update history, what are these? That's not update history anyways. I think the last update we got was way long ago. Yeah, 1.001. I don't know. I'm waiting. Just like you, I did progress 21% of the game, and then I stopped playing because I can't play like that. I've played with 30 FPS mode for a while, but I got headaches after that, so I stopped. Hello, anything on the Division 2? Yeah, I told you I will make it in future videos, but it's not like priority. Priority is Call of Duty and then other games. Typically. I have a question. On patch 1.1 on PS5 Resident. Oh, I haven't tested Resident Evil 4 remake after the last time I did. I'm not sure if if ray tracing works the same or not. I'm not sure. Alright, thank you so much, Two-Face. Okay, so we've learned a few things from here now. On the menus, if you use Eco mode, it will affect the FPS. It will go somewhere around 60. So it will reduce the power is being used by PS5. And if you go to the maximum low consumption, it will get even worse and it will be like 40-30 FPS. And the resolution drops significantly. You can see like, oh, everything is blurry. Oh my god. But it doesn't affect the in-game settings. So if you want to reduce the power being used by your PS5 and have less electronic bills, you can keep that on efficiency or something. But if you want it to be as smooth as possible, you can turn it off and you get perfect 100 to 120 FPS even on the menus. And the HDR affects your controller input delay more than you think in Call of Duty. I want to show that in the next video. I'm not going to blow your mind here. But remember, if you are playing now, just give it a try. Try playing on SDR and you will probably notice there is a difference between your controller response when playing on SDR. Alright, thank you everyone for joining. I'm gonna stop the live here and let me try the bot and see if the things actually work. You can use these commands actually to know how many hours you were in the stream. It will be always covered on the channel. And the ZH box you see on the chat right now, I'm planning to make some stuff that you can use this box for merch in the future after we pass 20k, by the way. You can just receive them by watching the streams. Alright, thank you everyone for joining, and I will probably see you in 2 or 3 days in the next video for Call of Duty. And thank you so much for joining. Let me roll the end credits. Hope to see you soon again.